And good afternoon. I'm Grant Salzman, joined by Mike Claiborne. Cards 365 here on STL Sports Central. Claims the Cardinals open up after a 3-3 road trip, a 4-game set against the Pirates. First, what did you see over this series, especially this weekend against the Rays?
Well, it's the same story. I mean, you don't have enough pitching. The pitching was not there. The offense came around a little bit, but you're short, plain and simple. And there's no help on the way right now. They're going to have to figure this out internally. But I watch Tampa, and you say to yourself, if they were in a different division, they might be in a different situation. I mean, they have good young talent. They can pitch a little bit, but I thought overall the Cardinals had their chances and they just couldn't cash in because of pitching. They were working from a deficit. It seemed like every night, where
Now,
Tampa was on top or Miami was on top. It's just you got to pitch better.
I agree with that. And speaking of that deficit, yesterday, Matthew Liberatore comes in. He looked pretty good for through those first 3 innings. What did you see? It seems that he hits that wall that we've been
Yeah.
seeing lately. He hits the wall, leads the Mets Swanson, giving up the grand slam. How do what's his work through? Is it just keep throwing him out there and eventually he's going to find it, or what's the deal with him?
I think you still have to pitch him for two reasons. One, if he's going to be part of your rotation next year, he's going to have to be able to adjust as the season goes on because he's throwing a lot of extra innings these days, a lot more innings than he did last year. I think what did he have? 86 innings last year, and he's well over 130 this year, and that's with a couple of weeks off. So, in order for him to be a more effective pitcher, he's going to have to learn how to pitch through this. Understand that some days his breaking ball may not be there. Some days the velo on his fastball might not be there. So he has to figure out a way to uh, just adjust and find ways to fight. So I think I have to leave him out there.
Yeah, and I think especially at this point in the season when you don't have a ton to play for right now, I think that's the perfect time to leave a guy out there to fight and work his way through it.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. The Cardinals are still within striking distance of a playoff spot, especially where you have 7 games with the Reds still up.
Yeah.
So you have a chance to climb back in this, but you have to be better armed. I mean, the Cardinals are still hurting a little bit. Mason Wynn was down yesterday. Alec Burleson's playing with a wrist injury. Brendan Donovan's still on the IL. And I mean, so you got some key components that you probably would like to have a little bit more healthy at this stage of the season. But with that said, you can bring all those guys back, but if you can't get outs, it does make a difference.
Yeah, and the Cardinals obviously have struggled with that rotation. Now, a guy that we talked about last time we talked, who had just made his major league debut, was Nathan Church. Now, with a little bit more playing time under his belt, he's had a full week of big league experience. What have you seen from him from his at bats? Had his first career hit and home run the other night.
I think the jury is still out. He obviously comes with high regard. I know he had a really good minor league season this year. But, Nathan Church is 25 years old.
Yeah.
So he should be making that step. This is a young man who came from college. This isn't a guy who was in high school and has toiled in the minors since he was 18 years old. So he has some pro ball experience on a minor league level under his belt. He has college experience under his belt. So this is the year he should make a move. Now, will he have enough time? I think he will have enough time to evaluate what he looks like come 2026.
And now you talk about other guys. Is there anyone from AAA you think in September could come up and next week make an impact? Obviously, the big name is JJ Weatherholt, but it sounds like the Cardinals are hesitant, I think would be the word to call him up.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that he's going to be called up. I think when you have Victor Scott come off the IL, you probably keep him and you probably keep Church here. You'll probably keep the infielder. For me, he'll stay when Donovan comes off the IL. I think the question is, what do you do with Nolan Gorman and what's that status like? And if he comes off, then probably another player would have to go. but I don't see anybody else in the minors as we know it that's going to be able to come in and help this ball club. Maybe Graceffo,
Yeah.
your standpoint, but I don't think there's anyone who's just been chewing at the bit that's ready to come up, because if he was that good, we would have seen him 2 weeks ago.
I agree with that. I want to remind you, Gray Bar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs and a proud sponsor of us here on STL Sports Central. Let's turn our attention now to tonight's game, and it's another former Cardinal pitching against the Redbirds. We saw Sandy Alcantara pitch, now Johan Oviedo, who's carved out a nice role for himself in Pittsburgh for the Pirates. He's starting against the Cardinals today. Do you think they can finally break through? It seems like every time a former pitcher pitches against them, they struggle.
Well, it's a good question. I really couldn't tell you because I don't know what Oviedo looks like compared to when he was in St. Louis. If you recall, he was the guy they threw out there doing COVID, wasn't ready, but they didn't have anyone else. Then he had some injuries. So what he looks like now, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I thought he had real promise, but man, things started to fall apart for him once he got to Pittsburgh. So hopefully he's on his 2 feet and he gives the Cardinals a good outing. Not a winning outing, but an outing, a good outing.
So far, he was banged up. He was in the minors. He opened a game for the Pirates, made a start, went 1 inning, giving up 2 earned runs. And then 5 days ago against the Blue Jays, started 5 innings, 1 earned run. So he's slowly trying to get back in the swing of things. But it seems like definitely a guy the Cardinals could jump on.
Well, let's hope so. It's time for the Cardinals to start scoring runs early and giving their pitcher a little bit more breathing room at the start. So let's see how things unfold. McGreevy's been pretty good so far this season, and he's a guy that's kind of giving the Cardinals what I was talking about, at least trying to hold the opposition to a low run total early. So we'll see how things unfold tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's been if you had to look at the one thing that's killed the Cardinals off in these games is through the 4th, 5th inning, they're down 5-6 runs, and it's insurmountable for the offense. So far with Michael McGreevy, yes, he's had a few outings where he's given up 3-4 runs, but you always feel like when he's starting, you have a chance, you're in it, you have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. He gives you that confidence. He's not scared. He's willing to pitch inside. He knows he doesn't have a lot of swing and miss stuff, but when he does have some pitches he can get you out with, he's not afraid to use it in key situations.
And the Cardinals in this 4-game set getting a little bit of a reprieve, although they've been very successful of them against them. No Paul Skeens will pitch against the Cardinals here, so that helps them out a little bit here.
Well, yeah, it does. I would think, but the Cardinals are one of the few teams that's had reasonable success against Skeens. So I don't really fear him as much as I see some other guys in that rotation. Like Keller has been hard on the Cardinals and a couple of other guys. So either way, they're going to have the work cut out. They know what they need to do, and they just have to go out and do it and probably start earlier than later.
Yeah, I agree. 5 games, it's not insurmountable by any means. The Mets have been playing, I would say, average. If you go on a little bit of a streak, definitely. And I'm not saying that they need to make the playoffs, but I think it would be fun for the fans if they could make it somewhat competitive, have competitive games in September, because it's been a little bit since they were really in a mix at all in September.
Well, I agree, but it also says something about this team and this collection of players, the people that you want to have back. If they can get involved in a chase and understand what it's all about, I think that gives them more momentum going into next spring. And understanding that there's another level you have to try and get to. And once you get there, you say, okay, now we're at that point. Now we're trying to figure out how to win in October. I mean, there's a ladder to success here that they need to experience. And for the ones who will be back, I think it'll be a good test for them. For the ones who won't be back, well, you know what? They can take that somewhere else and maybe help them be a better asset to some other team.
Now, let's say they end up, end of September, they are out of it by 3 games at the end of the season. Do you think that is a direction towards Heinblum and ownership maybe of, look, we were that close, and Ali Marmola said this lineup has not been, this team is not the talent that is needed. You go add a few pieces and it's a playoff team comfortably. Could that be the message from the ownership maybe?
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make. And it's not always signing free agents. Okay.
Mhm.
I think we sometimes get caught up in that because they're available and it's only money. Um, that sometimes works. A lot of times it doesn't. I think length of contract and not trying to set a record is something that you certainly be concerned about. But you also have some assets that may be attracted to some other teams that you realize I have too many of them. And when you have people in your farm system, everybody's not going to play on the Cardinals, but you do have players who may be able to get you players who are closer to being ready to play on the Cardinals, closer to winning. And you go back and you think about the two trades that stand out recently are the Goldschmidt and Arenado trades,
Yeah.
about all those guys that they moved in order to get more comparable players that were closer to being ready to win. And you look at Colorado, they don't have anybody left from that deal now because they let go Austin
Mhm.
Gomber. I'm trying to think, does Arizona have anybody left? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen is the only one that's left.
Yes. Yep.
So you look at those deals and you say, well, those guys weren't going to play here in the big leagues with the Cardinals, but they were able to move on, and some of them did play in the big leagues.
Yeah, and speaking of the future, how the team is now with this offense, there's a lot of chat about the lack of home runs, the lack of slugging. How do the Cardinals maybe currently for the rest of the year, and especially in the offseason, how do they get a little more pop in their bats?
Well, I think they have to. This is a line for line assessment, and what I mean by that is, what does the leadoff guy look like? What does your two guy look like? What does your three guy look like? And I kind of think we've had some guys kind of batting out of position, if you will. And what does a leadoff guy look like these days? I mean, is he a guy that can get on base? Can he steal a base? Base stealing is coming back, okay? And we only have one guy who can actually steal bases on a consistent basis. And the unfortunate thing about his situation, batting him ninth, normally it's going to be somebody slower in front of him. So if you have those two guys on base, it's kind of hard for him to really do some damage. Yeah. So you have to make some hard decisions about who does what moving forward. And, I would evaluate every position and say, is this guy going to be back next year? And somebody has to say yay or nay. And what if you replace him, what does that person look like? So I think when you look at teams now, teams are looking to do more slug, but you also have to have smart hitters who can put it in play and move a runner along. Do we like the home run? Sure we do. I like doubles as much. Especially if you have good base runners where you can score from first to score from first to home. So there's so many intangibles that go into this, and we really don't know what this is going to look like because we really haven't heard enough from Chaim Bloom on what he sees from a vision standpoint.
Yeah. Want to take a quick break to hear from DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Claves, we're having a little bit of an abbreviated show here. I know we got to get out of here in a moment, but what are you looking for in this 4-game set against the Pirates? What is, after the game Thursday, you can look back on and say that was a positive few games to start the homestand?
Well, I think I would like to say, man, what a sweep that turned out to be.
Yeah.
Because you want to have momentum going into Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have to have your ducks lined up. And I don't think 3 out of 4 splitting with the Pirates is something that's going to help your cause, because now you can't give away games. I have a feeling that when you get in this situation, when you're 4 or 5 games out, you have 6 weeks to go in the season, you have to be able to pick up at least one game in the standings each week. Okay. You can't have a flat week. You have to go out and somebody's got to give it up, and you have to be able to pick up a game. If you don't, you're going to come up short because you're not normally going to pick up 2 or 3 games in a week. I mean, this is why that's why they call it a marathon. It's now a sprint. We're at the sprint stage. So here we go. You have to be able to do some things on a more consistent basis. And you want to go into Cincinnati at least picking up 2 games this week before you go into Cincinnati. You want that series to have some real meaning and put the pressure on them.
I would have to agree with that. A sweep would do the Cardinals a lot of good. Make sure you stay tuned here on STL Sports Central for the post-game show. First pitch, Cardinals Pirates, 6:45. Michael McGreevy has the ball for the Redbirds. For Mike Claiborne, I'm Grant Salzman, and we will see you here later on STL Sports Central.